Hi, it's Roger Cox with RogerCox.net. Welcome to my video today. Talking about little things. It's the little things that count. Many of you probably don't remember because you're not as old as I am. But back in about the early 1960s, we decided there was actually a race going on between the United States and the Soviet Union. And it was a race to space. And in it was the late 50s, early 60s, the Soviet Union actually was the first one who put a satellite up into space. And so they had actually won that part of the race. They were the first ones to do a satellite. So you fast forward, a few years into the late 60s. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was July of 1969. And there were these three guys that opened up a door. Well, actually, I think there was two. One of them kind of stayed behind for a little bit. But anyway, the door was open. A couple of guys came down, went down a ladder, and they were the first ones to walk on the moon. And so they went from just starting the space race to walking on the moon. And to a lot of people, that was a big, huge step. That was a big accomplishment that just seemed to happen like instantly. It was a big step giant step for mankind, or however that saying went, But when you stop and think about it, it really wasn't one big step. That one big step was composed of thousands, maybe even millions of smaller steps. So when they decided they wanted to go to the moon, when they had that goal, the first thing they had to do is they had to figure out how to make a rocket that will leave, our atmosphere and actually get to the moon. And there were a lot of steps involved in that. You just don't build a rocket overnight. It's not rocket science, okay? You don't build a rocket overnight. So they had to figure that out. And they had the other small steps that they had to figure out. They had to figure out, okay, we had to time it. Back in those days, the computing power that they had was not like we have today. But they still had to figure out a way that they knew to know exactly when they would set this rocket off and time it so that it would get to the moon at the same time the moon got there, okay? Because this was, going to the moon, it wasn't just a one-day trip. You don't pack a day pack and go to the moon. It was a multiple-day trip. And so they had to figure out how to time it so that when the moon takes off from Florida, not when the moon takes off, when the rocket takes off from Florida, that is the Earth kind of goes around and around, and, the moon kind of moves around. They had to time that so that the rocket and the moon got to the same place at the same time. And then, once they got, they'd never been there before, they had to figure out how to get these men down onto the surface of the moon and without killing them, right? Because they wanted them to come back, And so they did that, and then they also had to figure out, once the men are on the moon, how are we going to get them back? How are we going to get that thing to lift off and come back to Earth? So the moon shot was not just one big, huge event that was magnificent. It was, but it was composed of thousands, maybe even millions of small decisions, small things, little things that happened. And that's kind of the way it is with our life. We don't do things in big steps and big quantum leaps. We do things a little bit at a time. If, for example, if you weigh 200 pounds and you want to get down to 100 pounds, that might seem like I could never do that. I can't make that kind of a jump. That's a big accomplishment. And so a lot of times what we do is since it seems like an impossible task to jump that big, we give up on the idea, and so we don't do anything. But what if if you weigh 200 pounds, maybe one day you can get down to 199. Okay, would it be that hard to go from 200 to 199? And once you're at 199, is it that hard to get to 198? Or maybe even at some point to get down to 197? You go down 1 pound at a time, and you can do that by, maybe you decide to go from 199 to 198 simply by deciding, instead of eating 10 bowls of ice cream, I'm only going to eat 9, type thing. It's the little things that add up over time that make the big things. And that's how you get from 200 pounds. That's how you get down to 100 pounds. That's how you eat an elephant. That's how you do a lot of the big things you've done in life. You've done it by small steps. If you graduated from college, you just didn't do that overnight. You didn't go from entering the doors as a freshman and the next day you're graduated. You had these classes you went to, these small increments of time, an hour here, an hour there, and you combined all these little things to make one big thing, and you finally graduated, and you went on with your life. It's a lot like that with network marketing. Sometimes we're sold the big picture, where you can put in some time in 2 to 5 years or 6 months or whatever you were told that you're going to make 6 to 7 figures in income. And for a few people that might be true, but for most of us and for most of you, that's not the way it happens. You don't go from being broke to all of a sudden being rich and having 6 figures of income and being very successful. It takes a lot of little steps to get to that point. You start out by making a little bit here, and you increase your skills and you make a little bit more, and so you work up to that income. And the way you work up to that income is, again, by small steps. Maybe right now you don't have the skills that you need, or maybe you don't have the personality that you need in order to make that kind of money. But those things can be learned, and you do it a little bit at a time. So the big factor in network marketing is talking to a lot of people. And so if you're uncomfortable talking to a little people, if you're uncomfortable talking to people, then you can start a little bit. You talk to one person, you say hi, you say hello. One day you make a new friend, and you say hi, you say hello to them, and just small steps at a time. Maybe you move on to asking them what their goals are, or maybe what their pains are. Maybe you have a product that can fix whatever they have. You don't become a success in network marketing by one day you're here, and then the next day, with just a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, you're here. It takes a lot of effort, but you do it in small steps over time, and it's not going to be quick. If they tell you you're going to be rich, in 6 months, don't believe it. It's going to take some time. You're going to have to develop some skills, but you can do that. You can develop the skills one little tiny bit at a time. And if you doubt that, I can show you how to do it. I can show you how to find people to talk to and how to talk to them naturally, so that you're not pushing your product or your opportunity on them, and so that you're not feeling weird. Because isn't that how you feel when you start here and you've never done anything like this before, and they're telling you to go to the grocery store and just talk to people and tell them about your opportunity? Doesn't that make you feel just a little weird? So you start one bit at a time. You talk to people in a natural way. Talk to one person, smile at them, say hi, and then when you get comfortable with that, then you can talk to another person. And go a little bit further. It's just the little things that count. The little things done over a span of time. It could be a lengthy time. So with network marketing, you could be talking years before you see much results at all, because you have a growth curve that you have to go through. You have some skills that you have to learn. But what I'm telling you is you can learn those skills a little bit at a time. Just for a personal example, I decided that I might want to learn how to do a little Spanish. So I got this app on my iPad, and it's called Duolingo. And it gives you a little Spanish lesson in about 5 minutes. And the idea is you do 5 minutes a day doing these little exercises. And in time, you can get to where you can at least ask somebody where the bathroom is in Spanish, So you learn Spanish just a little bits at a time. And it's the same way with network marketing. It's actually the same thing with anything that you accomplish. When you first learn to drive a car, for example, when you stop and think about it, driving a car, especially in traffic, it's not a simple thing. It's very complex. There's a lot of decisions that you have to make. You have to learn how to, to start the car. You have to learn how to in the old days, you had to learn how to do the clutch and the accelerator at the same time. So you have to learn how to drive a car, and then you have to learn how to deal with the traffic and the judgments and the decisions that you make. And as you drive a mile down the road, even now, there are hundreds of decisions that you have to make just driving a mile. But the thing is, you've gotten to the point where you're not consciously making those decisions. You've gotten to where it's automatic. It's a habit, and you're able to drive that car almost without thinking about it. And you can do the same thing with network marketing. Once you learn the skills a little bit at a time, you get to the point where those elementary skills become just natural. You just do them without even thinking about it, and it becomes easy. And so it's very easy then to move from that point to stretch yourself just a little bit further and go to the next point. And it might take 5 or 10 years. But if you can make a full-time income, in 10 years, is that worth it? In your job, you're working 40 years, and then you retire. You get a pension, or you get your 401 or whatever it is that you have. So is it worth it to you to learn a few skills a little bit at a time, so that maybe it takes 5 to 10 years. Maybe it takes 15. It doesn't matter. The question is, at the end, was it worth it? Is it worth it? So think about that. It's the little things. Don't think of things as being really hard because it seems so far out there that you could never get there. You're too old to do this, that you would never be able to get there. Break it down into the little steps. There's something you can do. You know, if you're starting an exercise program, and maybe you want to get to the point where you can do 100 sit-ups, without stopping. But when you first start, maybe you've only got 5 minutes. So you do one sit-up, you do 2 sit-ups. You start with the little things, and you start to build on that. And over time, you get better, and you get more confident. And finally, it becomes to where it's just a part of you, and you do it without even thinking. And that's the secret to success in network marketing, is getting to where you can talk to a lot of people comfortably. And you just have a conversation with them. And it just naturally comes out that they have a need that you can meet. It naturally comes out that you can talk to them. So the little steps spread over a long period of time is what gets you results. It's the little steps that make up the big things that happen. The little steps make up the quantum leaps. That's, you see other people and it looks like they just overnight success. Well, they weren't an overnight success. There were a lot of little things that happened, to them along the way. So that's my video for today. I see some of you have joined and some of you have missed most of my good stuff. Go back and hit the replay. Listen to it. I'm talking to you, Janine Stockdale. So yeah, go back and watch my replay, and it's the little things. Don't worry about the big things. If you do the little things consistently over a matter of time, the big things will take care of themselves. Okay? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. My name is Roger Cox. I'm with www.rogercox.net, and I encourage you to go there, look at my blog, and if there's any way I can help you move your network marketing business forward, let me know. I've got some resources that I can share with you. Most of the stuff I didn't invent, but I've been around long enough. I've accumulated a lot of stuff, and I can plug you into people who have done it, that know what they're doing. And so if you got any inkling at all that you might even like just to try it, maybe you've had this thought in your mind that I would really like to do something more with my life. I'd like to do something more. Maybe this is it. And you start with the little steps. I can help you get started, and who knows where it's going to end up from 5 to 10 years from now. And at that point, you can look back and say, I'm glad I did that. I'm really glad. My name's Roger Cox. We'll talk to you later. I'm getting ready to go do some babysitting. At my age, I still do babysitting for our church group. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.